everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am really excited to be sharing with all of you this beautiful baby blanket pattern. It is a really simple pattern with just a few basic stitches. If you're new to crochet, you can check out those basic stitches in my basics playlist. They're all there. But I really hope you like this blanket, so stick around and I'll show you all the details. Let's take a look at what tools and materials are required for this particular project. For yarn, I'm actually going to use the Loops and Threads Baby Delight yarn. It's 557 yards or 7 ounces. We'll use just about the whole thing for this one. And if you don't have this, that's okay. Just look for any yarn that is a weight 3. This is an acrylic, for the most part, an acrylic yarn. So anything like this that's a nice soft weight 3 yarn will do if you can't find this one. There's no problem. And obviously any color as well. We're also going to need a tape measure so we can make sure we're making the right size blanket. We're going to use a tapestry needle for weaving in the ends at the end of our project, a pair of scissors, and then for hook, I'm going to use a 5.5 millimeter hook. If you prefer letters, this is an I hook. So let's go ahead and get started on that. To begin, we're going to use a foundationless double crochet. If you are not familiar with how to do that, that's okay. I do have a tutorial for that on my YouTube channel. I will link that in the description so that you can learn how to do that. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. If you would prefer, you can do a row of your chain stitches, your foundation chain, and then do a row of double crochet instead. It will have the same effect. I just think it's a little faster and neater also to do the foundationless double crochet. So that's what we are going to start with, and we are going to do the foundationless double crochet until we get to about 20 inches across. My goal is to have the blanket for like a car seat blanket. So it's not a really huge blanket for, you know, inside, but it's really a nice size if you need something for the baby to cover up while they're in their car seat. So go ahead and start your foundationless double crochet and do that until yours measures about 20 inches, and let's come back and we'll take a look at what we need to do for the next row. Okay, so I finished my foundation double crochet here, as you can see, and when I measure this, this is about 20 inches, so we're pretty much right where I want to be. The one thing I failed to mention earlier is that you want to make sure for this pattern to work that you have an even number of stitches. So for me, my hook, my yarn, my tension, I came out with 70 double crochets here. So we're going to go ahead and go on with row 2. So before we do that, we're going to want to single crochet and turn our work, and then we are going to do a single crochet in that first double crochet. So go ahead and in the very first stitch, put a single crochet. Now what you want to do is a single crochet in the space between the first and second double crochet. So here's the first crochet, here's the second crochet, and that's in this space here. So go ahead and put your hook in the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, just like you're doing a normal single crochet. So you can see it's in that space, not in an actual stitch. You're going to chain 2. You're going to skip 2 double crochet. So here's the stitch in between. There's a double crochet, and now you're here in this space again. After you've skipped those 2 double crochets, you're going to want to put a single crochet. And this is pretty much your pattern for this row. So you do your single crochet, you chain 2, skip 2 double crochets, and in that next space between the 2 double crochets, put in a single crochet. Chain 2, skip 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and in this space, make a single crochet. Chain 2, skip 2 double crochets, and in this space, make a single crochet. So you're going to do this all the way until you get to the end of the row, and then I will meet you back here and show you what to do. Okay, so we're at the end here. We've gone ahead and done the pattern where we have all these nice chain 2 spaces all the way across. We get to the end and you should have 1 stitch left, and you will go ahead and do a single crochet in that last stitch at the end. Okay, great. So go ahead and turn. Now, depending on how you like to do your turning chain, you can either chain 2, because we're going to do double crochets here, or you can do an alternative turning chain. I prefer the alternative turning chain. If you're not familiar with that, you can take a look at my YouTube channel for that. I'll put a link to that in the description below so that you can see how to do that. Otherwise, just chain 2 and continue on. I'm actually going to do the alternative turning chain here. I just think they're a little bit stronger than and more stable than two chains for me. Okay, now what we're going to do is in each of these chain 2 spaces here that we have all the way across, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So you have your first one that you made either through an alternative turning chain or a chain 2. And then the next thing you're going to do is put 2 double crochets in the this first chain 2 space that you created from the channel before. So you're actually going to go into the space, not into a chain or anything like that. Just go ahead and go right into the space. See, I'm putting my hook into the space. And you're going to do 2 double crochets. They're right in that space. Go to the next chain 2 space right there. It's just separated by that single crochet that we did. So there, go into that chain 2 space and do 2 more double crochets, just like that. The next chain 2 space, 2 double crochets. And you're going to keep doing this in every chain 2 space all the way across this row. So keep doing this in these chain 2 spaces, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so we went ahead and put 2 double crochets in each of those chain 2 spaces along there, and what you should end with is 1 stitch left for you to put a double crochet in there. And that should be the end of your row. Now we're going to turn our work, chain 1, and go to the next row. Now from here, this is pretty much our pattern. For the next row, we're actually going to repeat row 2. Then after that, we're going to repeat row 3, and we're going to keep alternating those until we get it to the length that you desire. For me, I'm going to try to get this to around 24 inches. So 20 by 24 is about the traditional size for a car seat. I should mention there's also going to be a border around there the blanket, which will give us another, I don't know, inch or two of size. So you can go ahead and make this pretty much any size that you want. Like I said, I'm gonna try for about 24 inches. So let's repeat row 2 now. We did the chain 1 to start this row. We're gonna single crochet in that first stitch. And then if you remember, what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the space between the first and second double crochets right here. Okay, then we're going to chain 2. Here we are making those chain 2 spaces. We're going to skip 2 double crochets and put a single crochet in between those 2 stitches. Now that you've got those double crochets here, you can much more easily see exactly where to put those stitches. Chain 2, you're going to put them between those 2 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2, put them in between those double crochets, just like we did for row 2. Gonna do this all the way across. When you're done with this row, you're going to end with a single crochet in the last stitch. You're going to turn and either do chain 2 or your alternative turning chain, and do 2 double crochets in each of those chain 2 spaces. And like I said, continue to alternate those rows until you get it the length that you desire. So let's go ahead and keep working on this pattern back and forth, alternating rows 2 and 3. And when you get to your desired length, let's come and meet back here, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I have gone ahead and repeated rows 2 and 3 until mine measured about 24 inches long. For me, that meant 32 repeats of the rows 2 and 3 at the beginning. So here's where we are. And now that we've done that, and we ended on a row 3, which is the 2 double crochets in every chain 2 loop. Now we need to go back and put a row of double crochets just all the way across. That'll match how we started. If you remember, we started with a foundationless row of double crochets. So we want to put in 1 row of just double crochets all the way across to match what we did when we started. So we're going to go ahead and start with our alternative turning chain for our double crochet, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way across till we get to the other side. Okay, so we're just finishing up putting those double crochets all the way across. We have just 3 more left here, and there's the last one. Now, a couple things. If you want, you can be done. You can fasten off and weave in your ends, and it's actually a really nice blanket. You can be done there if you want, especially because we use the alternative turning chains. The sides are really nice and straight and everything looks great. So you can finish there if you'd like to. I like to go ahead and put a border around. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can put a border on here, assuming you'd like to do that. So I'm going to do a couple things for the border. First, I'm going to put a row of double crochet all the way around, and I'll especially show you how to do that when we get to the sides where there's no clear stitches, or I should say places to put your stitches, so I'll go through that. And then I'm going to add probably a little bit of a decorative border on. Again, it's optional, you don't have to do that, but I think it looks nice. So let's go ahead and get started on the border. So I'm going to go ahead and turn, and I am going to start with a row of double crochet. I'm going to start with my alternative turning chain. And I will do the double crochets all the way across. When I get to the end of this row, we'll come back and I will show you what to do to turn the corner and what to do along the first side of the blanket. So go ahead and do these double crochets all the way across this row, and then I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, so we've done the double crochet all the way across, and we have 3 more on this side here. So we're going to go ahead and do 1 double crochet, another double crochet, and then in this final stitch, which is going to become our corner, we're going to put 3 double crochets in the same stitch. So right in here, we'll do 1, we'll do 2, same stitch, and we'll do a 3rd, all in that same stitch. And what that will do is basically help us turn that corner, and it rounds that out. If you don't put 3 in that stitch, it'll curl up and become really tight, so you want to make sure you have the 3 stitches there in the one, all in that one corner stitch to help with rounding the corner. Now we're on the side. Okay, so it's pretty clear that there are no stitches necessarily identified here of where you're going to put your stitches. So I'll tell you what the rule of thumb is. So the rule of thumb is that if you're putting stitches in the side of a double crochet row, that's worth 2 stitches. So you would put 2 stitches there. If you're putting stitches in the side of a single crochet row, you would put 1 stitch in the side. We're only dealing with double crochet and single crochet, so we're going to put 2 in a double crochet row, 1 in a single crochet row, 2 in a double, 1 in a single, back and forth like that. Now here, just as a reminder, we have 2 double crochet rows in a row, so we need to do 2 in each of those. Then we'll go to the 1, 2, 1, 2. And the nice part about doing it that way is that when you get to the other side, if you follow suit and do that again, you'll have the same number of stitches. Everything should be nice and even, and it just makes it a little clearer with what to do. So first, we're going to start with this row here. Now the exception here is we already have 3 double crochets in the top of this double crochet, so it's kind of taken up part of the side. So we're just going to put 1 double crochet there. There's not even really room to put a second one. Now we're in a double crochet row, and we're going to put 2 double crochets. In this case, we don't have too many options there. You're basically wrapping those 2 double crochet around the stem, that first double crochet that's in that row this way. So that's what we're going to do there. Now we're in a single crochet row. So you can see you have some holes where those single crochets are, and you can just go ahead and put it in that first opening right there. Get a better view of it now. And now you're onto your double crochet row here. So in this side of that double crochet row, you're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Oops, there we go. Now we're at a single crochet row. So once again, we'll put one stitch right in the side of that single crochet stitch. Okay, now you're back to a double crochet row. We'll put 2 double crochets in the side there. And you will continue that all the way to the end of the side of your blanket. When we get to the end of the blanket, once again, you'll have a corner stitch. So we have the 2 double crochets. This is the foundationless double crochet row that we did. So here you'll have the 1 double crochet here and 3 in the corner. But I'll meet you here when you get to the end and we'll go through that again. Okay, so we've made it all the way down the side of the blanket, putting in our double crochets all the way across, and we've gotten to the end. And similar to before, when you get to that corner stitch, which in this case is the first stitch of this round, that's going to become our corner stitch, you want to put in 3 double crochets. So when we get here to this corner stitch, go ahead and put in your 3, I want to get that in there correctly, your 3 double crochets. So here's 1, here's 2, and here is 3. Okay, so we have that in the corner, and now we're going to go ahead and continue the same path all the way around. So 1 double crochet, this is the foundation row. So 1 double crochet in each chain or each stitch all the way across, 3 in the corner, and then along the side of the blanket, just like we did this side of the blanket. And then I'll meet you when you get all the way back around, and we'll talk about joining that to the beginning stitch when we get all the way back around the blanket. Okay, so I finished going all around the blanket. The rest of the sides, I went ahead and put the 3 double crochets in each corner. And now I'm back to the beginning where we started our border. And this would be the corner stitch here. We have 1 in there already, which is the first stitch that we made. So for this corner, we're only going to put 2 stitches in there. That will make up the 3 stitches for the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those 2 more in there, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that very first stitch. So just so that you can see that well, that's the first stitch we made. I'm going to go into that stitch and slip stitch into that, and that would complete that round. Now, once again, if you'd like, that can be the end for you, and you can fasten off and weave in your tails, and that would be actually a really nice looking blanket as well. I am going to continue just to make a little bit of a special border on there, and I'm actually going to change color. So to do that, instead of completing my slip stitch with the blue, I'm going to complete the slip stitch with the color that I'm switching to, which in this case is white. It is still the Loops and Threads Baby Delight, but this one is in white. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my white. I'm keeping the blue on here. I'm not going to fasten off or anything because I want to come back to it after I do a little bit of white on here. So I'm going to just keep that there. But for now, I am going to finish my slip stitch with the white instead. So I'm just going to take this white and I'm going to, oh, let me do this the right way. put my hook in that first stitch where we were going to do the slip stitch, and instead of pulling up a blue and pulling through, I'm going to pull through a white. So through there and then through there. So my slip stitch is now finished with the white. And then from here, I can continue on all the way around with the white. And like I said, I'm gonna leave the blue here. I'll come back to it later. Now, for the rest of the border, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go do this pattern that we did the blanket in, so I can pull back in this pattern into the border. So to do that, I am going to chain one and do a single crochet in the first stitch of that row. That was the one that we started with. So if you remember what the pattern is, you would do a single crochet in between the first two double crochets. So we put a single crochet in that first stitch, and then here between the first and second stitches, we're going to do a single crochet. And I'm just gonna weave that tail from the new white in that first stitch there. Okay, now chain two, skip 2 double crochets, and then in between the next two, not in the stitch, but in between the next 2 double crochets, we're going to put a single crochet. So we have the single crochet, skip 2, in between those two, you're going to put a single crochet, then chain 2, skip 2, single crochet, in between the next 2 double crochets. So chain 2, skip 2, and then single crochet in between the next 2 double crochets, right? Similar to how we started the pattern at the very beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for this whole row, so that we're creating these chain 2 spaces, and then I'll meet you at the end of this row and we'll talk about what to do on the corner. Okay, so I finished that row and continued with the pattern, and now I'm at the end of the row. So I have a couple more to do here. I'm going to chain 2, skip 2, and do the single crochet in between those 2 double crochets. And now you can see I'm at the 3 double crochet in the corner. So I want to kind of replicate that with single crochets so that we can keep our corner going nicely. So I'm going to single crochet in the first double crochet there. In the middle stitch, I'm going to do 3 single crochets so that we can keep forming that corner. 1, 2, 3, all in the same stitch. And then in the third single crochet, I am going to do a single crochet, excuse me, the third double crochet, I'm going to do a single crochet. So I've done that in the corner stitches. Now, similar to we have on this end, I am going to do a single crochet in between those 2 double crochets. And then I'm going to continue the pattern. Chain 2, skip 2, do a single crochet in between those 2 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2, single crochet in between, and I'm going to continue to do this all the way down this side. When I get to the 3 double crochets in the corner, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to do a single crochet, 3 single crochets, and a single crochet all in that corner. I'll continue to do that, this pattern, all the way around the blanket until I get back to the beginning. So I will continue to work on that, and I will see you back in a few minutes. Okay, so I went ahead and completed that pattern all the way around the blanket, and I'm now back to where we started. I'm back to that 3 double crochets in the corner. The first stitch was actually put in the last of those 3 double crochets. So what we're going to need to do here, now that we're at the end, is we're going to single crochet in the first one, just like we did in the other corners. Single crochet in the first one, 3 single crochets in the middle, and then the first stitch, that last one, is already done from the first stitch that we put in there. So we're actually going to just slip stitch into the first stitch and join it. And so now we have our corner done and the pattern all the way around. Okay, now if you remember, the pattern for the row 3 is to put 2 double crochet in each of the chain 2 spaces. So we are going to start with chain 2 here for our double crochet there, and then we're going to go over to this first chain 2 space, and we're going to put in 2 double crochets. Then we're going to go to the next chain 2 space and put in 2 double crochets. And repeat this. Go to the next chain 2 space and put in 2 double crochets. Go to the next chain 2 space and put in 2 double crochets. And you'll continue this until you get to that corner again. So continue with this pattern and I'll meet you at the corner. Okay, so we continued with the 2 double crochet pattern all the way to this corner. And here is where we put in the 5 single crochets. The 1 on this side, 3 in the middle, 1 on this side. So we're going to do a similar pattern, but with double crochets now. So double crochet in that first single crochet. And then here is where the 3 were all done in the center. So we're going to do 1 double crochet, 3 double crochets in that center one, and 1 double crochet. So we're continuing with that pattern of putting 3 in that very middle. So here's 1, 2, 3, and then in that third single crochet we're going to put another double crochet, and then here's the final one that was in that corner, and we're going to put a double crochet there. So you have a pretty solid corner that's continuing to be nicely rounded, and then you can continue with your pattern. So 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, and then continue to do this all the way around the blanket with that double crochet in the corner, just like we did in this corner, and continue that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the very beginning where we started. So I've gone ahead and finished putting that pattern all the way around along with the double crochets in the corner, and here we are back around to the corner where we started. So we're going to go ahead and do the double crochets in the corner one more time like we did before. So just to identify, here are the 3 in the very corner. There's the one before it that we want to double crochet into. Of these 3, we're going to do a double crochet, 3 double crochets, and a double crochet, and then here's the last one, and that's our chain 2 that we started with that counts as a double crochet. So let's go ahead and do that. We will double crochet in the first one, and then double crochet in the first of the 3. Now here's your corner stitch, the very, very corner where you're going to put 3 double crochets. Okay, there's the last double crochet of the 3. And then here's the first one where we started. So we're going to slip stitch into that. And that will be our corner all the way around. Now, once again, I know I seem like I say this all the time. You can stop here, you can fasten off, you can weave in your ends, and this can be done. It's a really nice pop of color around the side. I am going to change colors one more time. That's why I told you I was keeping the blue on here. So to do that, if you recall, when I do the slip stitch, instead of pulling through with the white, now I want to pull through with the blue. So let me get that started here. Now here's the blue from before. I'm going to go into that top of that chain. I am going to pull through the blue instead of the white and finish my slip stitch. I'm going to tighten that white in the back. And that's where we're going to start. So before we do that, I'm done with the white now, so I want to get that out of the way. So I'm actually going to cut that, and I'll weave that in later at the end when I'm all done. Okay, so the white is out of the way, and this tail here is from my first row of white. We're going to have to weave that in later too. So now I am back to my blue, and all I am going to do for this last round is just put a single crochet all the way around, just kind of to, you know, finalize some things all the way around here. So I am going to chain 1, and then I am going to single crochet in the same stitch that I joined as my first single crochet. And then I am going to start single crocheting all the way around in every stitch. When I get to the corner, I am going to do pretty much what we did before with the double crochets, but let me meet you there. Let's do the single crochets all the way to the corner, and then I'll meet you there. So I have gone ahead and done a single crochet all the way across this row, and here I am at the corner. Now for me, I like to make sure I know which one is the absolute corner stitch, so I like to go find that group of 3, and there it is. And so now I know that this stitch here right in the middle, this one, is the one that's going to get 3 single crochets. That just helps me identify and make sure I'm doing the right stitching and the right stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and do my single crochet and my single crochet here. Okay, and now here is the group of 3, so we're on the middle run. I'm going to do 3 single crochets there. 1, 2, 3. There are my 3 single crochets, and now I'm going to continue. Again, do this all the way around until you get back to the beginning, making sure you're putting 3 single crochets in that very corner stitch, and I'll meet you back around when we finish the single crochet round. Okay, so I finished putting the single crochet in blue all the way around, and the extra stitches in the corners here of the blanket, and now I've come all the way around, and I just put a single crochet in my last open stitch there, and I'm back to the beginning, and this is where I'm going to do a slip stitch into that very first blue single crochet that we made, and then we're going to be done. So that will finish this off all the way around. And now if you want to do anything further, you can. I'm actually going to end here and call this done. I think that little bit of white and the little bit of blue around looks actually really nice. So I'm going to stop there. So for what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut this and leave a little bit for me to weave in. And then to fasten this off, I'm going to do just one more chain and then pull it all the way through to give it a nice fasten off. Now I need to fasten, weave in my ends. I have this white that we have when we switched colors. I have the blue that I just finished, and I know I wove in most of the where we ended the white. I just need to cut that off because it's already been woven into all these single crochet stitches here. So the white I can cut. That one's done. And then I need to just weave in the blue and the white. And I believe that we wove in the starting tail. Yeah, we did. There's no other. We wove that in, the starting tail, into that border row. So that should be all we have left to do. So I will go ahead and weave these in, and then we'll be done. Okay, so I have gone ahead and completed everything. I finished weaving in all the tail ends, and this is the blanket. I hope you like it. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and I hope you'll go ahead and give it a try. As usual, if you have questions, concerns, or are looking for something else, please feel free to leave a comment in the box below, and I will get back with you. Thanks everybody, I hope you enjoy.